Constitutional design. The third unit in this civics part, we are going to deal about how is a constitution designed. So my dear students, in this unit we shall discuss how are the steps taken for the establishment of the Constituent Assembly, what are the guiding principles that were taken into consideration before and after drafting of the constitutions. So let us find out first. Let's have a case study on South Africa. We all know South Africa is the name of a country which is also known as Republic of South Africa. Republic of South Africa is located in the southern part of the African continent as it is located. So why should we study about South Africa when we talk about the constitutional design? When we talk about the constitutional design here, we are stressing on the case study of South Africa because South Africa is a country which is very closely associated with India also on the historical lines even. Gandhiji first advocated the principle of non-violence and satyagraha in South Africa. Later, when he came to India, he followed the same principles where he became the father of the nation and brought for all of us freedom for our country. Now moving on to the concept of our lesson. In the case study of South Africa, South Africa is the only country in the history where it has been also the domain of Britishers. The Britishers has taken over the political control and later they started to make the local Africans, especially the South Africans, apart from the government and started to rule them. You may get a fundamental question. What is the difference between Britishers taking the government and making the Africans apart when it comes to the other hand in India? In India also we have Britishers taking over the control and making Indians apart from the system. There is a fundamental difference here. The Africa situation is the Britishers who initially went to Africa settled in Africa, so a minority of population emerged out of the settlers of Africa. The Britishers who settled in Africa. So now in the South African population we have 10 to 20% of the people settled Britishers and 80% the basic local Africans. When it comes to India, they dominated Indian scene for 200 years, but they never contested in the elections and they never took over the political power into their hands and dictated the laws for us. They ruled as a crown colony, India, but not directly elected country. So in South Africa the case is different. The settled Africans got themselves elected for the prime ministerial post, president posts, and they started to rule the country as if they are the basic African people, and they started to formulate the laws, policies for the entire African community in South Africa. Though they are in minority, they started to control the majority. So that is a fundamental difference which makes us to have a close view on South Africa. So now moving on to understand the concept of the lesson. I think you all have heard the name Nelson Mandela, a great personality who lived in this world. When I read a quote about Gandhiji, people are writing an interesting point about Gandhiji. Gandhiji followed the ideas in the present 20th and the 21st century where we feel they are very far from reality. He followed the principle of non-violence. The writer went on to an extent saying that the next generation children, means you people, would also get a doubt that this man lived with this ideology, with the flesh and blood. Is it reality or not? Because the ideas what he followed in practice were really very difficult to practice. The same ideas were continued and followed by Nelson Mandela in South Africa. The result of this, he has to spend 28 years in a prison in the Robben Islands, which is a very deadly place in South Africa. Let's go and check out the details now. See here, Nelson Mandela fought against the existing government of South Africa in 1964. Why did Nelson Mandela raise his voice against the government? The government started to follow the policy of apartheid. What is apartheid? Apartheid is a name of a policy, or it is a discrimination done on the basis of the color of your skin. They termed them as blacks. The Africans are basically colored people because of the climatic conditions, and the location of Africa falls very close to the equatorial zone. So naturally, people are colored because they receive sun's rays directly on the equatorial region as well as in the torrid region. So the nature made them to be colored people. So there is no fault from the people's side. So who are you to discriminate the people on the basis of the color of the skin? So discriminating the people on the basis of the color of the skin and keeping them apart from the administration, from the government, from the normal social life is known as apartheid. This policy is followed for many years, or it would right to say many decades, in South Africa. So in 1964, Nelson Mandela started a struggle to end up the policy of apartheid. This policy of apartheid has to be ended up because this is truly against the basic rights of the human beings. Someone cannot judge the others just on the color of the skin, which any person doesn't have any control on that, which he acquires it naturally. So he is insulting the birth of any individual when we are discriminated basing on our color skin, or basing on our country, basing on any of the natural origins what you acquire by nature, which you do not have any control on that. So our Nelson Mandela took over the bold step to stand against the government. Along with him, we have 7 other members raising their voices. So Nelson Mandela, as usual, the other ruling governments put him under the imprisonment on the charges of treason against the government. What is treason? Treason means betraying the government, betraying the rule of a ruler or the monarch. In the ancient times, we used to have corrupt officials who used to do treason. But now, when it comes to the case of Nelson Mandela, Nelson Mandela rose his voice only to talk about the concept of equality. He wants to end the discrimination policy of apartheid, which is being followed from many decades and is being continued in Africa. He wants to end this up. So the ruling government, the white minority government which is ruling Africa, got very much angry, imprisoned him and his followers for lifetime imprisonment and on the charges of treason against the government, betrayal against the government. So the betrayal is literally an irrelevant word to Nelson Mandela's act, whatever it is, but there is no one to listen to the words of the government's policies or the Nelson Mandela's actions. Nelson Mandela stood firmly, even he was imprisoned for 27 years to 28 years continuously in the same prison, which is in a very horrible and shabby condition. He lived up to the expectations of the people. He stood firmly and he lived and he believed on the policy of non-violence. He never ever gave a slogan against the white minority government or asked the people to revolt or take to violent steps against the existing government. Finally, in 1991, the South African government, which imprisoned Nelson Mandela for 28 years, could not hold him longer with the international pressure, was forced to give up the policy of apartheid. Here comes the greatness of Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela gave a speech appealing to all his fellow Africans that do not criticize or do not separate the whites now. We, blacks and the whites, together will frame a constitution in which we all will have equal partnership in framing the constitution, and we all will live with equal respect and mutual respect. We do not want to hate each other at any point of time. Yes, we faced problems because of ideology, not because of people. So there is a real greatness of Nelson Mandela, who lost his entire life in the prison because of the white minority government, but he never rose his voice raising any negativity against the white minority government. He criticized the policy of apartheid, but not the people who propagated the policy of apartheid. He wanted the apartheid policy to be banned, removed, eliminated, but not the people.